All right, so I'm gonna do the. Yeah, welcome. This is coming up on coming up. We've got a cracker of a show here for you tonight. We've got a special guest.
Coming up.
His name is Arthur.
That's me.
They study mathematics and they live with a mate of mine, and that's how they were chosen as a guest for tonight. We have all but the highest standards on this show.
We do screening extensively.
Yes.
You flatter me.
Is it really? We're more of an audio kind of group. It's not really screening.
No,
is
it's
it?
not a screen.
No.
No.
All right. So yes, I am Hunter. Over there is another person. Say your name.
Yeah, your name.
Your name. I've forgotten your name. We've done this show every week. I've known you for
written
3
down
years.
right here.
We share a tattoo, and I don't know your name.
Yep, it sucks.
It's welcome to It Sucks, and you study environmental science and history.
Yep.
And I do computer science, and I'm really scared about AI. And tell us about yourself,
I
Arthur.
do mathematics, and I'm also really scared about AI.
That's actually
very scared.
Arthur and I met actually because I was chatting with Sophia on Arthur's couch about AI, because that's all I ever chat about. And Arthur kind of walked in and was like, "If you're talking, you should be really scared about AI." And I was like, "Yes, I am."
And I was
it was
like,
the
"Oh.
first time someone actually
Well,
connected with me on that.
at least you're
That's
quite
nice,
well
though.
calibrated on that. Yeah.
It's a good way of putting it. I like that expression. You're going to be well calibrated, as many
It's a little
dimensions as
strange
possible.
seeing so many people not being freaked out in some sense.
Oh, it's
anyway.
crazy.
Anyway,
Well, we'll get onto the
We'll get to that.
superintelligence. Although we already spoke about danger previously, but not super extensively. So we're going to talk about our topic for today is superintelligence. But I thought we should focus on how it might happen and when it might happen. And as usual, nothing is researched, so this is a jumping off point for the future of you.
Yep.
All right, Reuben, do you want to start with your story from history before we get into the sciencey things?
Okay, well,
Reuben's going to tell us about that time Sacagawea crossed the Alps.
yeah. Man. They said, that seems pretty improbable. And she said, just watch me.
They said, what are the Alps?
Brought a lot of elephants with her, so I've heard.
Yeah.
This is the story.
Yeah, don't know how she got the... Anyway. Yeah, so, anyway, like most weeks, I'm sitting here with the Wikipedia page open, and this was just what I was looking at today. So this is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the history of it and the content of it. And straight off the bat, what I was saying to Hunter before was, they reckon it was written in like 500 BC, right? So, and I was just saying to Hunter how usually in history class, they're like, did you know that the Greeks or something built this thing in anyway, my point is, not that I made a point. There's nothing to
a little bit there.
Look at that.
Yeah. So did you know? Yeah. I'll tell you one story. They're like, did you know about this other thing?
Yeah.
And inside that story, it's just a recursive story.
No, but
I'm sorry, that was really rude.
No. I just
This story's awesome.
500 BC. Just the way I feel like I've learned about it is that it's kind of the dawn of history, or that was when the first big shit was happening. But I don't know, this shit. I just want to know more about Chinese history, basically.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy. This is quite a comprehensive book, and to this day is the peak of East Asian war strategy. It's still considered a valuable text. Imagine.
Yeah, that must be why they haven't done so well in wars since industrialization.
Yeah.
Well,
The tactics are a little bit outdated
have
these
done
days
fairly
if they're
well.
still using.
Yeah.
Yes, I know. That's not a very accurate joke. We've got our fact checker in chief here.
List of wars won by China.
Most of them.
Yeah. It's a good book. Fuck. I really don't know that much about it. I kind of read some stuff on Wikipedia, but I think I'll just keep reading. No, actually, I'm just going to do the thing where I waffle, and it's not
You waffle.
historically accurate.
I've got a bit of waffle coming up too.
Okay, cool. So, what I found out is that the dude who wrote this, don't fact check this, by the way, this is just
Don't
Check
fact
it
check
out.
it. Just take his
It's
word
a
for it.
theory.
it's not educational, okay? No, what I read on the Wikipedia is that this guy Sun Tzu, it was either after or before he wrote the book, got exiled from the kingdom that he was in ancient China, the kingdom that he was born in or whatever, in ancient China, and he went to this other kingdom, and the way, and he went to the emperor of that kingdom and said like, yo, like, make me your general, dog.
Hey guys.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Very well.
Do any of you have a lighter?
No.
Ooh.
Sorry.
Reuben's got about 500, but downstairs.
Oh yeah, actually I do have 500 downstairs.
Okay, well, yeah, it's not much use, is it?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
are you guys doing?
A podcast.
happening.
It's
You're a special guest.
you're a special guest.
It's
This
Yeah.
is
Wait, you got to continue from exactly the word you left off.
said, yo, let me be your general, and this emperor, you know, goes, nah, like, I don't really know you.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, exactly, right? Don't have many credentials. And this guy, Sun Tzu, apparently trains the general's handmaids in combat and makes them like effective soldiers. And you know, like 500 BC, not everyone's like super up to date with you know, like modern social progression. So anyway, the fact that a female handmaid got
Yeah.
trained as a soldier was like a big thing.
I mean,
And,
if this guy comes into your castle and he goes to your handmaids and trains them to kill, like, you gotta
take him
get worried,
seriously.
You gotta
Yeah,
take him
exactly.
seriously. Like, you give him what he wants.
Yeah.
He's created an army inside your castle.
Yeah, your
That's not
handmaids.
very nice.
Your handmaids are very close to you, right? Like
Yeah.
they're the people doing like.
Yeah, so watch out for, like, I'd let him lead my army after that.
Yeah. Anyway, so he led this guy's army, and he was super successful. They also reckon that it's possible that he didn't write all of it, and that The Art of War is actually a collection of theories under the family name of Sun, which is interesting because it might be his son or his father that wrote parts of it.
Interesting.
And then this asshole just went and put his first name on it.
Well, yeah. Other things about it, I don't know. Like, they're just like random bits of trivia. I mean, we've already said it's still relevant today. Do we just want to go through every chapter and I'll literally just
There's a
read
little
it?
bit I wanted to talk about, which
Yeah.
is so first off the bit about the family name potentially being the family that had actually written it. That reminds me a lot of. We hear the same kinds of things about the Greek epics.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see on completely different parts of the world. We have the same sort of
Yeah.
pattern of families or different groups potentially writing the same, you know, great text for that civilization.
Yeah.
And one of the things I sort of just osmoted from society's general knowledge about the art of war, I think, is that it's one of the first major big texts that really, really, really strongly emphasizes information and knowledge in terms of war. Like in the sort of contemporary Greek periods, you did have these, you know, heroic generals, but generally they were just really, really brave.
Just fucking build it
Yeah,
out.
just
Yeah,
fucking
yeah,
judge them.
this
And,
is
and the
like
Greek
actual
phalanxes.
strategy.
Like the Romans definitely had their sort of share of complex strategy, but the Greek phalanxes prior to that, which I think were contemporaneous with Sun Tzu probably, were basically just, we get a big block of people and we ram them together,
Yeah.
and you won battles by sneakily putting a little bit more guys in this block of people so they
Yeah.
ram a bit harder.
Yeah,
Which isn't
yeah.
exactly, you know, I mean, I guess it's high strategy for the time because it won the battles,
Yeah.
but it's not the kind of complexity that we're seeing with Sun Tzu where everything is about making sure your opponent knows as little as possible and making sure that you have all the options on hand at one point in time.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
And the last, there's a bit on this Wikipedia thing that I read before that, yeah, pretty much exactly, what you're saying. The last chapter is all about espionage and spies and how important that is. Like, and just like, yeah, exactly what
You
you're
might be
saying.
one of the first, like, people to recognize it. Well, when I was reading it, I've read it as so literal, you know? Like, you read old stories and things, like, from the Greeks or whatever, like you're saying, they're very... I mean, I suppose they're mostly fiction that you read from the Greeks, but this was just like a set of instructions. It's like, yeah, when you're making camp, put your back to a wall, but don't cut yourself off. Bam.
Yeah.
How to bake
Don't
a
go
cake.
underneath a cliff
but it's how to bake-
or
how to bake a
they'll
wall.
throw things down on you. Yeah, it's like it was like very literal and very short. Like
Yeah.
the book doesn't take long to read at all. It takes
Yeah.
like
Give it a
maybe an
crack,
hour or
yeah.
two to read. It's like really short. It's like a pamphlet that you can carry in, and there's other generals will be sort of flipping over. Oh, okay, then they're heading towards us. What should I do? Find the
Quick.
chapter.
Yeah.
Did Sun Tzu have anything specific about when you're being completely destroyed? Run away. Oh yeah, let's run away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a very literal book from what I remember of it when I read it a few years ago.
Yeah, another little bit that I wanted to pick up on was that you mentioned sort of 500 BC as being like the beginning of history.
Yeah.
I just had a maths lecture today about my professor was getting really, really excited about finally introducing the mathematical concepts that solved the ancient Greek geometers' problems.
Mm.
So there's a whole lot of problems that they basically had that they couldn't figure out whether or not they were solvable. Specifically with constructions of geometry with a straight edge and a compass. So if you've got a ruler with no markings on it and a compass that can do these rotating things, the Greeks were all about this. They were like, you can make circles and cool and stuff like that, but can you, for example, cut an angle into thirds? Can you construct arbitrary regular polygons? Can you construct an octagon that's regular? Can you construct a nonagon or whatever?
With a compass and a
Yeah,
pencil.
and it took us till like 1800 to figure it out, and now we're learning that
And
in
what's the
the
answer?
lecture.
Can
And
you?
the answer is, you can't trisect the angle, you can construct some of the arbitrary polygons, and you can't square the circle, i.e. you can't construct a square with the same area as a given circle. That's impossible.
Right.
That's so
That's
cool.
crazy.
Imagine blazing the trail of that knowledge. Like, imagine being like, I don't know anyone who knows this yet. I'll have a go.
It's just incredible
Yeah.
to think about it. And
What
like,
if you had a compass of infinite length and then it's straight at the end? Then you could do whatever shape you wanted.
very, very secret technical powers, yeah. But yeah, like, it was blowing my mind. I was thinking about this today, about how there's this whole period we call the medieval era, or medieval ages or whatever. And that means like the Middle Ages, basically. It's the same sort of
Yeah,
word.
like 800 to...
Yeah, to like 13 or
1500
1500.
something. Yeah.
And that term wasn't used in the Middle Ages, as we call it. It was.
Is
It only
called
started
the Middle Ages if nothing comes after us.
Yeah, we're up to date. But it was. It started getting called the Middle Ages or the medieval era in the Enlightenment era, when they had sort of got back up on the horse. So
It's like
civilization had
1600s?
sort of started making progress again, putting quotation marks around that. Like, we'd started solving problems that had never been done before, like you're talking about. We'd started like learning new things.
It's like the start of modern science.
Yeah.
In like Newton's era.
And my brain has been so completely, like, my whole life stuck in the concept of everything that is being done today is the first time. Like, the research that's happening now, we're getting better at stuff, basically.
Yeah.
I've always felt like that was just a natural part of life.
Yeah.
But can you imagine living in the medieval era thinking, oh yeah, today, like, it's pretty crap, but way back they had stuff that was crazy. And that would have just been like such a different state of mind, thinking
Yeah.
humanity was worse off than it had been in the past. And that was just very difficult to conceptualize
Like, say it's
for me.
800 AD and you're living in the ruins of Rome.
Yeah.
And you're like walking past these massive buildings and aqueducts and things, and they're not really working anymore, and you don't know how to build them. No one does. That would be such a weird feeling. Like this
So
great
strange.
civilization that used to be right here. What happened? Where did it go?
Yeah. And there could, that's that kind of like post-apocalyptic thing of like
Yeah.
walking past the Burj Khalifa and being like, I don't know who did it, but
Mm.
I
it's
couldn't do
cool.
that. No
Yeah.
one could do that, but
Someone
hopefully it
did in
won't
the
fall
past.
over.
Yeah. Wish they wrote a pamphlet with specific instructions on how to do it again.
Oh, I don't know how conducive war is to rebuilding society. I imagine it helps a little bit.
It depends who's... Well, if someone's destroying your society, could help.
I guess so.
If the Mongols are coming, they burnt everything down. Like,
Yeah, the
it would
Mongols, I
have been good
think.
if someone had the art of war against the Mongols. Oh wait, they beat the Chinese, didn't they?
Yeah, they
Didn't help much
they
against
trashed
them. Oh well.
I think a lot of the things in the Art of War were either just like by coincidence already part of Mongol-style warfare, or specifically and actively figured out by the Mongols after a period of time. Like, the Mongols
right.
started out without substantial siege weapons. Culturally, like, the tribes that the Mongols originated from didn't really use siege weapons, but as soon as they pushed into China and encountered these fortifications, they basically put two and two together and were like, oh, can we kidnap people that will help do this for us? Yeah. And the Mongols were definitely open to adapting new military strategy, which I think was a big part of the reason why they did so well against China and the rest of the world.
That's so cool.
So being open to new ideas is basically what makes you successful in some sense.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's going to come up later when we start talking about superintelligence.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Speaking about the war against superintelligence. Oh man.
I didn't mean
that's not
that.
what we can win.
I was trying to be a bit optimistic here.
Yeah.
Let's talk
We can
about how,
adapt and become the super.
yeah.
That may be one of the things.
That's fingers crossed.
All right. Do you have anything else to say about the art of war? That was our first topic for this evening. That was our little intro thing.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Good,
I should
good
give it a
topic
read.
to bring up, Reuben. Yeah. Well, we can all read it and we'll finish our book club next week. All right. We've got two other things before we get into superintelligence. Oh, I better tell our ad. We've got an ad. Our sponsor of this podcast. Tonight's podcast is sponsored by Swarm Computing. Swarm Computing offers instant access to superhuman intelligence on demand. Our swarms of nanobots will passively monitor your brain, and when you decide, they instantly provide a massive cognitive boost, so you can come up with that very witty one-liner just in time. Swarm Computing guarantees you will remain entirely in control and values your freedom of thought in almost every situation. Gently dip a toe into the hive mind with Swarm Computing. Oh my God. Back to the podcast.
Good pitch. I like it. Thanks to our sponsor, Swarm Computing. I look forward to trying out their services later when I'm normally completely socially inept.
All right, I'm going to jump into my little topic for tonight. So I usually pick something to explain, and since we're going to be talking about superintelligence later, I want to talk about the guy that wrote the book on superintelligence and set us all off getting worried about this field. His name's Nick Bostrom. He's Sun Tzu. He's a philosopher, and he became a computer scientist afterward. But way back, he put up this argument, which is a very compelling argument. Yes, Reuben?
He went to computer science from philosophy?
Yeah, he started off in philosophy. And then
Crazy.
now he runs the Future of Life Institute. Wait, does he run the Future of Life Institute?
That's the
I'm
one
not
in
sure.
Britain?
Yeah, it's in Britain.
Future of Humanity?
But this guy's Swedish. It might be Future of Humanities. There's a couple of future different institutes. Anyway, he put this argument up about the simulation. So, he argues that there's three possibilities. One is that in the future, there will be no civilization that ever gets the technology to generate realistic sort of worlds, realistic virtual realities. So today we can already do pretty good virtual realities, but you can tell you're in a virtual reality when you're using a VR system. So either some civilization comes up with the ability to create virtual reality. One possibility is that no one ever does. Second possibility is that lots of civilizations have the ability to, but for some reason no one wants to. There's some reason why no one actually uses this technology. The third possibility is that they do have the ability to do it, and they do want to do it, and in that case, it's likely that they've done it more than once. And you can think, okay, if one civilization creates one virtual world that's as realistic as the real world to our limited perception, then there's a 50% chance that you right now are in that virtual world.
Yeah.
But do you think they're only going to create one? They could create an unlimited number, or limited only by the computation available at the highest level of whatever this universe is, which is likely, if they can reduce, take some shortcuts in the simulation, to be very large, which means that one of these three things has to be true. It's impossible, no one can ever do it, which doesn't seem likely. People can do it, but they don't want to, which also doesn't seem likely. Or you're in a simulation right now with like a 1,000,000 to 1 a chance of being in it, which also doesn't seem very likely. But one of those has to be true.
Wait, 1,000,001 chance of being in it, or 1,000,001 chance
Of being in it.
Right.
Assuming they make 1,000,000 simulations, they could make however many.
Because then 1,000,000 of those 1,000,001 universes would be ones that were simulated. And assuming you have equal chance of being in each of these universes, you're massively more likely to be in a simulated one, because that's most of them.
Yeah.
Which is a very strange concept. So, I've heard this argument before as well, and it really sort of made me very uncomfortable to start with. Because obviously everyone doesn't want to live, in the Matrix or
You
whatever.
don't want to be
along
in the
those lines.
simulation, you want to be at base reality, don't you?
Yeah, of course. But so first off, an interesting question to ask is why? Why do you care?
Yeah.
So, there's some sort of temptation for us to want to sort of be affecting the truth, be affecting reality in some sense with our actions. And if our actions only affect bits in a computer, surely that means something less. But I think you'd be hard pressed to come up with a system with some philosophical system that mattered less if you were in a completely identical world that happened to be simulated. I think that'd actually be hard to construct, and it wouldn't be one of the ones we naturally come up with. The second thing about that simulation argument that I did want to talk about was it does seem somewhat strange that our universe doesn't fit any sort of reasonable set of goals that whoever was setting it up might want to meet. So if you're in a universe that, for example, was filled with loads of humans experiencing total bliss, then I think it would be very likely that it would be in a superintelligence. Because such a universe would be unlikely to naturally, come into being. And if someone was building a superintelligence, that might be one of the things they'd want to do. They might want to build a universe where everyone was really happy. But our universe doesn't seem to be fitting any sort of realistic goal system. It doesn't seem to be optimized for anything. It doesn't seem to, be full of happy people, or indeed be full of sad people, or be full of, people doing other thing. And indeed, unless our universe is optimized for really large balls of complex gas, I think either someone deliberately made a let's let this universe do whatever it wants, which is again possible, but I think somewhat unlikely, or it's whoever made it has goals that are so completely inscrutable to me as to be incomprehensible.
I think that's a very interesting point, but I think there's a slight flaw there in that suppose it's easier to create like maybe as easy to create this universe as it is for a person or a group of people to program a video game today. You only need one universe that doesn't optimize for anything. There's one universe that's either running a historical simulation or seeing like what would happen if we started our universe but with these slight changes to the laws, and then you have a half and half chance.
Yeah,
And if there's two people running like that, then they're more likely to be inside the simulation than not. So the argument still holds, but the subset of universes that are like ours in the simulation is smaller than the whole.
I think what winds up happening there is that you wind up having a small decrease in the probability argument that comes in the simulation argument. Like the example of constructing a simulation that is would be our universe but tweaked in a few subtle ways. That definitely still holds water with me, because that'd be one of the things I'd definitely do if I could construct simulations really easily. I'd want to see, what happens, but if we go back in time and we give people the art of war or whatever, how does that change stuff? And maybe that's the universe we live in. And I'd want to tweak that a bunch of times. But definitely, I would also construct universes where, everyone was really happy, because I feel like that would be my moral obligation or something along those lines. And I feel like I spent a fair bit more effort on that sort of thing than around curiosity. So I think that sort of lessens the probability argument in that.
Okay.
But it's still definitely a really scary thing to think about, because, the proportion of universes that are simulated could very well be very high.
So to clarify what you're saying that because most universes would be optimized for whatever moral goal the base universe people had, you would expect to be in one of those optimally moral universes.
Yes.
So the fact that we're not is also evidence that they just haven't created these universes, if they exist.
More or less what I was saying was, assuming people can create universes, the chance that we would be in one that isn't optimized for moral things would be relatively small.
Small compared to.
So this is based on
one
evidence that we
optimized.
aren't in a universe where there's lots of simulated universes.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
think.
I think that's a good argument.
But I would want to talk about that more, because I don't really know.
Along the same line, you can have we suspect that creating universes is possible, because we seem to be in a universe where it's possible to create other universes.
Yeah.
But you would,
like in VR, you mean?
yeah, like in VR.
Just
But
really
you would
complex
expect
simulations.
if you were at every universe that the top people create would create the next one, and you have an increasing number every step you go down.
But they'd also get smaller.
The
The
size of
universes themselves, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's an argument for saying that you would expect to be in the simplest possible universe where our brains could exist, which would be one where we couldn't create another simulated universe where brains could exist in.
Oh, that's getting too meta for me.
Which is a good argument to say that maybe these simulation doesn't exist. Because if it did, we would most likely, just like you were saying before, we'd most likely be in a moral universe, we'd most likely be at the base, bottom, the least sophisticated layer possible, that could still hold our minds.
I'd be interested in hearing what Bostrom thinks today about that argument, whether it holds water.
Yeah, because he made this argument 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And has had a lot of things happen to it since.
Including the pretty exponential development of artificial intelligence in our world today,
Yeah.
which I'm sure has changed a few things on his plate.
Pre-exponential.
Development of AI. We've got
Pretty
AI now
exponential,
is
pretty exponential.
Oh,
yeah,
pretty exponential.
yeah,
Oh,
right.
sorry.
Pretty exponential. Yeah,
It's
no,
like,
yeah.
what does that mean?
Yeah.
Soon to be exponential.
I mean,
That
probably
would
also
be
soon
a
to be
lot better.
exponential.
Yeah.
As Mitch Hedberg would say
Double
it, I used to be exponential. I still am, but I used to be too.
Oh yeah, did you have a little topic you want to talk about?
I did have a little thing. There was sort of lead into that, which was and it sort of ties into the things that are observable today, which I thought was a nice little touch. Because it's very easy to get very abstracted in these scenarios, thinking about 20 million layers of nested universes, and that feels sort of quite abstract.
Very abstract. To me.
Well, I mean, that's just that says something about how much abstractness your mind can handle, I think, as opposed to anything else.
I'm just joking.
But yeah, my topic was sort of what we can learn from the patterns that superintelligences get, and what the similarities we can see in the way humans and human societies think, and the way that artificial intelligences or neural networks or whatever current model you have thinks.
Current artificial intelligence?
Yeah, current artificial intelligence. So the big example of this, well, one of the big examples of this that we've seen recently is with the big Go AI. So Go is this really complex game that's similar to chess, that people previously thought was going to be completely impossible for AI to crack. And
How come? Just because it was so.
it's just so deep, I think.
It
Chess
has
was-
a branching factor of about 60 or something,
So-
versus chess having a branching factor of like much more, like 20 or something.
Yeah.
The branching factor is like possible things.
Possible moves. Each
So-
time you make a move,
So every
the
move,
next possible
every
move
move has 20 possible reasonable options, but in Go it's like lots more options. So to think 4 moves ahead means you're thinking
Crazy.
60 to power of 4 or whatever, which is just like getting insane.
Also, it's hard to assess how good the board position is based on how it is now. In chess, you lose pieces, and you can use a heuristic that says the more pieces you lost, the worse position you're in. But Go is trickier. You can't see where you're going so much unless
Yeah.
you have an intuition about the game.
Yeah.
Who made it?
It's a very ancient, I think, Japanese or Korean game. Maybe Chinese? I'm not entirely sure.
Ancient.
Do you want to pull that up? Just
Yeah.
Go the game.
Anyway, sorry, keep going
Yeah,
all that.
so recently, the DeepMind's research group busted out a ridiculously intuitive and powerful computing system called AlphaGo, which was built from the ground up to be basically just able to learn. Humans didn't teach it anything about how to play the specific game, they just taught it how to learn and how to play against itself. And in doing so, it created its own ideas. So our most powerful chess engines for a very long time were built around humans giving us really cool tricks. They said like, oh, if you're in this position, do this because that'll be a good move in this position.
Yeah.
But we didn't tell AlphaGo any of that. We just told it, here's some tools, play against yourself and see what you come up with.
Yeah.
And because of that, the ideas that it came up with, there were a lot of moves that humans would agree on. But in particular, it played a recent World Championship game against the best Go player in the world and won 4-1. And it was considered one of the best achievements in Go ever that the human won 1 out of the 5 games. Because this computer just became so rapidly, so quickly, incredibly powerful. And 9 months before, people thought this was a problem. And
The human versing it 9 months before had seen the AlphaGo playing and was like, oh, I could easily defeat that just when I was versing the European champion, who is not very
Not as
good
good, yeah.
compared to the world
Korean
champion.
champion, yeah.
It's made around the same time as the Art of War.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
Maybe it's done too.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically, a lot of moves were the masters of Go watching were saying, oh yeah, that's a good move. I can understand that. Maybe I wouldn't have made that move. But that's a good move, and it turned out they did really good. But there were a few moves that were very counterintuitive to the humans watching. That people saw AlphaGo make this move, and they said, that's ridiculous. That is such a stupid computer. Why is it doing that? And then 6 moves later, everyone was like, oh, we're going to get destroyed by artificial intelligence. And so that was basically how that sort of went down. And well, the reason I brought that up is because it's kind of like this computer has basically thought through in the same way that human society has the game of Go. Like human society's played around a lot, played against itself a lot, and eventually some dominant strategies bubbled to the top. And AlphaGo did the same thing by itself in different span of time, in much shorter span of time, and came up with some different stuff. But after, on reflection, the masters of Go watching these games have incorporated that move into their ideas about the theory of Go. They've thought, oh, that's actually a really clever idea. We should, adapt our strategy to include that.
Yeah.
And it's not something that we can't understand, it's just something that we happen to not think of. And that's kind of like the idea of us learning from similar neural network systems. And the other example of this that I wanted to mention was there was a recent neural network that was designed to write stories or respond to written prompts called GPD or GDP, something like
Yeah,
that.
it's from OpenAI.
We'll put it in the show notes. I don't know, the show notes. But basically, if you read the stuff, it seems really stupid. It seems like maybe a 5th grader, 4th grader is writing this stuff. And what's really impressive is you can see it learning in the same way that humans do. Because a few years back, I was really bad at having arguments, putting that again in quotation marks. I would get in huge arguments about you know the old chestnut, if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? You've heard that? Yeah. And I would just get in huge arguments about that that would go for hours. And a while you can start one now if you like. A while ago, I read an article about how humans define things. And it said that humans don't have some strict definition in their mind. That's not how they learn. They have a sort of collection of category of ideas. And they collect this category of things that, a sound is. And a sound is something that, propagates through air, and a sound is something that humans can receive information from, and a sound is something that's produced, and if energy is released by a tree falling or whatever. And these concepts are all something that sound is in the category of. And so people arguing about this philosophical discussion are really just arguing about which categories this fits slightly better into. And how that argument can be much better served is by redefining it so that you describe what you mean in other words apart from the specific definition. So instead of saying, if a tree falls in a forest, does it make a sound? You might say, if a tree falls in a forest, does it cause acoustic vibrations? And the answer to that is obvious. And alternatively, you could say, if a tree falls in a forest, does it cause a mental sensation in someone's head? And the answer to that is also obvious. So basically, that philosophical argument that I used to have was just a disguised definitional question that, on the ground floor, was really just about categories and definitions. And in the same way, this learning algorithm got really, much better than AI has been in the past at responding to written prompts. And it responded in that same way, using categories as definitions for words. And you can see this most clearly. Rather than set definitions, exactly, yeah. Because it didn't have any kind of dictionary definition it could go back to and say, oh, that's what people mean. What it did was it looked at collections of words and said, this is the context in which we expect to see this, so it probably means something like this. And so, for example, when you asked it to write a numbered list, it would count like you would expect a little kid to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4. No, not 5, 4. But yeah, you can see it. It gets lost, and it gets lost in the category. It knows that numbers are a thing. It knows that they are patterns together generally, but it doesn't quite have a handle on what order they're in. But you can imagine this AI getting, we don't know if it's bad yet, fingers crossed it's not bad. But you can imagine giving it a lot more information and it getting that same kind of understanding that we have, the understanding of categories as opposed to strict definitions, which is something that I think computers have generally been limited to historically in terms of their understanding of stuff.
If we want to get into a little bit more specifically how this is done, it learns words as a vector. You have about 300 different numbers between like 0 and 1 in a vector, and then you learn them as parameters of a neural network. So the way it might be done is, I'm not sure of this specific algorithm, this is how I've learned natural language processing in the past. You have all the text available, then you pick a word in it, and you want to try and guess what that word is, based off the context. And the context, the simplest way to do it, and it actually works really well, is just pick another word that's nearby and say, predict what other word would be next to this. So you get the word dog, and you want to predict a word that's next to it. And you might predict cat, or the, or went, or something like that. And then you change the values of the word dog, the numbers that encode the word dog, the same way you change the weights of the neural network that's predicting the other word, right? So it backpropagates all the way to the first layer of this neural network. Then you slightly change the numbers, which are just randomly initialized, so the dog is slightly more likely to predict the other word cat or the other word the, depending on what specific example you took it from. Then you repeat that a million times with all the text available, and you end up with a really good encoding for the word dog, because inside it is encoded the information of all the words that dog appears next to that it's learned. And you know this works really well because if you take, say, the words king and queen and the words man and woman, and you subtract them, just subtract the numbers that are encoding the word king from the numbers that encode the word woman, queen, you get the same vector that you would get if you subtract the numbers of the word man from the word woman, right? So man take away woman equals king take away queen. That gives you the vector.
Which is just surreal to think about.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It's learned gender. All the difference between a king and a man is disappeared because it's subtracted, because it's the same difference between queen and woman. So you end up with just the vector that defines gender.
Just bizarre.
Which is fantastic. So it's learned that gender. And it is a little bit of a problem, like people try to use this to do resumes and things. They say, oh, we look for the right words in resumes in that first screening process.
Yeah.
But it can learn context you don't want. Like, it'll learn the word doctor is more male than the word nurse. So you have to adjust it by, you find the vector for gender, and then you go back and you change the vector for doctor so that it's 0 along the vector for gender's dimension.
Which human recruiters would do automatically.
Yeah.
But we need to tell machines.
And that's just because in the text that it learned off, doctor was next to the word he or next to the word man more often than it was next to the word she or the word woman. In these examples.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in, because what we can see right now is we can see the connection, the connective patterns between the way humans think and the way these neural networks think. And insofar as this is concerned, we've basically known how humans think like this for a little while, like for longer than we had the computers. But how long until it's reversed? How long until we see computers doing something and we're like, oh, that's how our brain works? Isn't that going to be cool?
I suspect that might have already happened.
You reckon?
I swear I read some paper on neuroscience where they were using neural networks to study part of it. I'm not certain, but I'm going to double check it and I'll bring it up next time.
It's just so much easier to
do it the other way.
you have to go the other way because neural networks are already in the computer. You don't have to cut the brain into pieces because that's not very pleasant for anyone involved.
Yeah, because neuroscience is slow because you have to wait till someone has a stroke in this part of the brain and then you're like, oh, that part of the brain did that because this person can't do that anymore.
Ethics, neural networks, you can just poke them and well, how long until we have some ethics problems in there? We don't know. Anyway, that leads us very neatly.
Smart enough that you should not destroy part of its brain to see what happens. It's actually how we train neural networks. We routinely destroy a tiny little piece. We routinely ignore
So wildly unethical.
You don't want it to get overfitted to data, right? So you want it to learn, like if there's a little speck on your screen of all your pictures, you don't want it to learn the speck as an important piece of data. So you randomly turn on and off, say 10% or 20% of the neurons while you're training it, so that it always has to use a different set of neurons to get the same answer. And then when you get to the end, you put them all on, so they're all working again, and then you get an even better result than when you're training.
And one wonders, that could definitely be the kind of thing that we're thinking about how that's our brain works.
Wait, sorry, can you explain that a bit more clearly? So it's looking at images, and what are you trying to teach it?
So say you've got images of a cat and a dog, and you want to teach it the difference.
And it's a glitch, there's a speck that's not right.
Say there's on all these images of the dog, just all the images of the dog, there's a little speck. Like if one pixel is slightly different.
Sorry, and you're saying if you had all the neurons firing all the time, it would incorporate the speck as part of the picture of the dog, but because you're taking out some of the neurons, it has to recalibrate every time.
Yeah, because you're taking out some of the neurons, that speck isn't in a lot of the examples of the dog. Which means it has to use the other features to recognize whether it's a dog.
Sure.
So it's not always literally a speck. It might be the dogs happen to be taken more in the daytime than at nighttime, whatever. But it helps. It's called regularization. It helps smooth the function of classification so that it generalizes better to examples that it hasn't seen, because it causes it to have to use more features of the image, right? So one subset uses some features, turn that subset off, turn another subset of the things on, has to use different features, then you combine them, and actually, basically, you turn them both on, then it can use either feature to recognize the thing, or both.
If you want to see an interesting example of something along these lines, you might want to go to the website, This Person Does Not Exist. Have you seen that one, Hunter?
Yeah.
So it's basically a really interesting neural network of this style that tries to, predict what certain things will look like. And this one in particular has learnt to generate pictures of people. And these people are not real.
Are not people.
They've never existed.
That's horrible.
But basically they're just a learned idea from all of the photos that this generative network has seen. And you can see, for example, in some cases, this one in particular has a few little overfittings, not this picture in particular, but often
What the fuck is this?
like you can see,
It's got a rug on her head.
they're not quite perfectly working, but the human physical features are really, like if you saw this out of context, you wouldn't think, what's going on with that?
So if I go
If you can refresh it again, it will give you a new different person that doesn't exist.
Bizarre!
And this one looks pretty completely real. But yeah, like
That's
glasses are a really good example of
Yeah,
that effect. Like you'll sometimes see images on this one with the glasses half sort of blended into their face, because it's quite difficult for the neural network to deal with that very discrete modifier, to deal with like specifically humans either have glasses or they don't. There's no humans with half glasses. Whereas humans don't. There are humans with grey hair, and there's humans without grey hair, and there's humans with sort of half grey hair. So
So sorry to talk a lot about while we're on this, but this guy's done with what's called a generative adversarial network. So you actually have two neural networks that are like fighting each other. One of them is trying to generate the pictures, like Arthur was saying, and the other is trying to tell the difference between the generated pictures and the real pictures. And if it can tell the difference, then it labels the generated picture as bad. And it'll the ones generating the pictures will change to try and get its pictures labeled as good. So it's like you have two networks that are fighting each other, and they can just run on a computer and just go and keep going. And it learns. Yeah.
I highly recommend listening to go to this website. It's just surreal. Clicking through it and thinking, these people are all real. They all look real. And yet none of them have ever existed. It's just surreal. Yeah. So anyway, how long till those people can also write college essays? We'll see.
This is making me feel sick. This is.
Someone built a parody.
That one's so good!
Someone built a parody one called This Waifu Does Not Exist as well, of anime characters.
Much simpler actually, because anime characters are substantially simpler than people.
So is the stuff around their head, is that like garments from lots of... Because this is accessing a source of... Like, this is accessing a bajillion facial photos, right? So is that... I guess that's just...
I think the adversarial networks learn to care a bit less about the background of the picture than they do about the foreground, because that's the important part to telling if it's a person.
That is ridiculous.
It's just real. It's just real. And it even has the photo imperfections that you expect from a photograph. Like, it's just real. Yeah, well, we haven't found any of the glasses ones yet. I imagine they're a bit rarer, and they might have improved since I was last week as well.
This one's fucked because... Well, I mean, this whole website... But just this one in particular is the first one that's made me go... Oh, like... I wonder who that person is. You immediately start personalizing it and go like, oh, wonder where she lives. That's
just
creation.
It's just terrifying. I was talking to my boyfriend today about how where evolution's taken human intelligence basically, and why it's taken it where it has. And the main predominant theory today is that humans start out being a little bit intelligent, and the more intelligent ones were better at navigating complex social scenarios. They were better at, tricking people in their tribes into acting in certain ways. They were better at cooperating with their partners. They were better at, working together as a tribe and also working against other tribes with complex intrigue. So it's and this of course is
fuck that shit.
It's insane, man.
Yeah, sorry.
And this interaction is like self-reinforcing, right? Because if one person gets better at stuff and gets smarter, it's because they're fighting against someone else getting smarter. So if everyone's getting smarter, then smarter people are even more strongly incentivized to be able to reproduce even more. So that's the runaway process of that happening is basically why we think people are smart today. But that also correspondingly tells us why we anthropomorphize so much, why we project humanity onto everything, because that's what we were built for in some sense. Evolution made us smart so we could do that, so we could personify. And so that's why we, when we talk about evolution, or we talk about sun, or we talk about the universe, or whatever, we say, oh, what would it want? What is evolution trying to achieve? And it's a random process, right? It's not trying to achieve shit, but we think it does, because that's how we've been built in some meaningful sense. And so we're looking at these pictures and we're personifying this, our eyes tell us it's a person. It's not. It's a collection of pixels. It's never existed. And all of these neural networks as well, we personify so hard, because that's the context in which we've existed. But I don't know, if a neural network was sufficiently powerful, but it had been trained in different circumstances, you wouldn't expect it to have that same kind of, quote-unquote empathy of projecting humanity, projecting its selfness onto other things.
And I just want to, like, for listeners at home, like, this is nuts, right? Like, this is, so at the moment we're looking at a picture, maybe like a Latin American woman, and just... Everything about her seems so specific and, like, minutely imperfect in that way that pictures of humans do. And even to the point where, like, I can't tell if she's wearing a different, like... I guess the thing about this photo is that there are, like, ambiguities about it, or there's, like, bits of the image that you're not sure about it. So, like, one of her earrings, right, is, like, not... You're, like, not sure if it's a different earring or... what's going on there, but that doesn't matter. Like the program knows that that's an ambiguity that can if it was more unclear whether her eyes were human eyes or like whether this
Yeah, it focuses on a bit of the manner, basically.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just sorry,
Like
yeah.
the background and the earrings, you can imagine a human being looking at that and not thinking a second thought, because humans are so well trained to look at human faces. And if one of the eyes was a bit weird, would zero in on it like that, we'd be like, that's not a human eye.
And see, this is like, and this could just be someone with a slightly lazy eye, but
Yeah.
it's easier to, because it actually feels sad for people with lazy eyes, but it's easier to depersonalize. We've just refreshed a new one, and it's easier to just depersonalize that because you immediately go, okay, the eyes, I'm a little bit unsure if
And
that's.
it's easy to imagine that it might be a computer-generated graphic.
Yeah.
And then we'll go to the next one, and it's just gone. It's completely
Fuck that
normal
shit.
again. It's very scary stuff. Very scary. So anyway, that's definitely something we recommend looking at. Thispersondoesnotexist.com.
Yeah.
Terrifying website for terrifying ideas for a terrifying future.
Did you just twist that?
I put it on the table, but I think I would have ruined the microphone while I did it. So let's all be silent while we should watch out for bumping the table. That will ruin the microphones. We have a very high-tech microphones here on this future podcast.
Don't worry, just you wait.
Watch out, if all our followers go to thispersondoesnotexist.com at the same time, they might crash that website.
We're both on Reddit and had like 15,000 upvotes. I'd be surprised if our followers can match that. I'll be quite impressed. I'll go on it later.
We got a couple of fake subscribers.
Well, I want to listen to this one later. So there's that.
I don't know. I think they're the type of people that just subscribe to everything and hope they get subscribed back.
It's interesting. The digital economy is very, very strange. The commodities are information and having people's eyes on you. Oh, did you hear about the quantity over quality app thing written recently? So basically, there's a huge amount of money in like apps, basically, because you just get people's eyes on ads, people look at ads, people go spend money. You know, that's how the entire internet works these days, advertising eyeballs. So recently, there's pair of programmers who've been working on a bunch of different random creative apps, or like working their brains out, figuring out how to make something people would actually enjoy. And it wasn't being successful, so they just gave up, basically. And so what they did was they automated writing shitty apps. So they automated a process that would build a different slot machine thing with just arbitrary adjectives. So they'd say, alright, pick an adjective from the dictionary, so go to Google Images, grab the first one without any copyright, put that in the background of our slot machine thing, put it on the App Store as dolphin slots. And they're automatically reskinned it, and they put up like 12,000 of these things with basically zero effort.
And if they get one download each,
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of money. They made like 70 grand a year or whatever. Because, A, they flooded the marketplace and like a huge number of people would have just seen the app come up in the newly created app feed or whatever. But also, they had particularly good ad click-through rates. So most apps, you know, you really want to get people to click on the ads, because that's good. But, you know, if the game's interesting, you won't do that because you're playing the game. So this one, because the game sucks so much, they clicked on the ads more frequently. This is really funny. So yeah, so getting the way that we reward people on the internet for success, again, I was doing air quotes there, for correctly, you know, satisfying people's desires
is attention.
Yeah, it's just not real. We're not actually rewarding people for building good apps. We're rewarding people for making people click on ads. That's what we're rewarding people for.
Yeah.
Scary.
There's something sad about the fact that some of the most intelligent minds of our generation are getting people to click on ads.
Yeah,
And that's
most of them.
That's also funny that you can, I don't know, yeah, you can broaden that out to like, because that's reflected in like, I don't know, just thinking about like the philosophy of like celebrities and current news and everything. Yeah, because it's on the internet, yeah, the thing you're rewarding is attention, attention grabbingness, sorry, rather than quality.
An interesting theory I heard recently. So online news used to be very good. They used to be really reliable sources. And in recent times, it's gotten a bit more murky, and there's a lot more sites that are a bit, you know, dodgy. You're not sure if they're realistic. And I heard a theory for that recently. That theory was, we're not optimizing anymore for just anyone's attention. We're optimizing for the attention of people who are too stupid to have ad block. Because those are the only ones who see the ads. So if you get a whole bunch of clicks from people who have ad block, that doesn't mean shit. You don't get any investment for that because, you know, those people aren't going to see your ads. But if you can corner the market of people who don't download ad block, then those people are a gold mine because they will see every ad you shove in their face.
Interesting hypothesis.
Yeah, well, this is just a theory.
I mean, that sounds pretty legit. Like,
I hope it's not true.
You could also say that it might also be possible that because it's so easy to create a website and publish stories, people are focusing more and more on a narrow section of the market. So you could go pick the fringiest view you like, and there's a million different fringe views all across the spectrum, and just cater towards them, tell them what they want to hear, and they'll like listening.
And in some sense, Reddit, which is one of the media platforms I use most frequently, is just that, but on a very user-automated level. You're find your unique communities that produce things that you like, and indeed every person on that user base then influences what that community produces. And so we see really, really directly the consequences of having a marketplace that's directly optimized for not a user's enjoyment, not a user's learning, but a user's clicking that up button. And the consequences of that are very different in different places. In well-curated places, like the Ask Science subreddit, you'll see like really rigorously cited answers because that's what people want. But in other sort of more mainstream, like gaming subreddits or that kind of thing, you'll just see totally uninteresting things that make you go, huh, that's kind of funny for like 1 second.
It's kind of funny that we move towards this kind of authoritarian, top-down kind of thing. The more quality community you want, it seems it correlates with how authoritarian the mode is. If you go to the most free whatever community, you don't get any good content because either advertisers pay people to upload everything and then they don't get banned because it's free. Like you're not going to be banning people on a place that isn't at all authoritarian.
Well, it's a neutral average porridge, right? Like, I mean, that's the content you're seeing. The more democratic it is, like, oh wait, is that kind of what you're saying? Sorry.
Basically,
It's about the level of moderation, yeah.
I'm saying the more moderation you have, moderation allows fringe communities, basically.
One of the
One that's well-sided, that's a fringe one, really. It's got to be well-moderated.
One of the best articles I've ever read, which is far too nuanced and complex for either me to restate or to restate in the time we have, was a post on the blog Slate Star Codex called Meditations on Moloch. Meditations on Moloch, as in a demon from... Yeah, it's a demon from numerous different sources, and it's used in
kind of clan.
May also be kind of clan. Meditations on Moloch is usually much more pleasant. Meditations on Moloch is this terrifying vision of what happens when you let human society do its own thing. Again, air quotes there. Basically, it examines what kind of coordination problems we can get into. So if you haven't heard of a coordination problem, that's like the prisoner's dilemma, where two agents, it would be better for them both if they both cooperated, but in any case, defecting gets you a bit of a bonus. So the natural sort of equilibrium is both of you defecting and then getting shitty results for everyone. Because if they're cooperating, it's better for you to defect, but if they're defecting, it's better for you to defect. But on the whole, it's better for you both if you cooperate. But the natural equilibrium will wind up being defect. And the examples of this that the article kind of looks at are fishing traps and cleaning, like overfishing or whatever. If everyone agrees to keep their fishing nets, their fishing intake at a reasonable level, that's fine for everyone. They'll be fishing plenty of fish in the sea. But if everyone overfishes, it'll be really bad for everyone. But if everybody else is being really careful about how much they overfish, and so they don't overfish, but you overfish, that's really great for you. So the best thing. So what you you have that all over the world. Yeah, driving cars, there's too much traffic, whatever. Everywhere around, you have that problem. And what you want in that scenario is you want an autocrat. You want a dictator to come in and say, you don't overfish or I will shoot you in the face. Because if you have that, you can finally be like, oh, well, I'm not losing out. And our whole society is going to go on the good path, not the bad path. And that's what you see on Reddit as well, I think. I think you see coordination traps of people upvoting things that are sort of low effort. And it's very difficult to coordinate society to not do that. But whereas if you get moderators to, be the autocrats, overlords, deciding, nope, this is not the kind of direction we want this to be going in, we'll just cut it off there. I highly recommend that. I'll link that to you guys later.
Yeah. I've got to hurry off to see Us for the first time. But feel free to keep using my computer.
We'll keep chatting maybe for a little bit.
Very good to meet you.
Yeah, lovely.
Very good to meet you. Very good conversation.
Fascinating.
The end.
Enjoy seeing Us.
I'm not quite sure what that means, but I'm sure it'll be very good. Nothing called Us could be, unpleasant to watch.
Is it Us or Us?
Oh, Us!
movie! Oh, okay, yeah.
There's a movie called Us.
There is indeed,
by the
director
director of Get Out, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
I
thought that Get Out just came out recently. I thought that guy made a movie
I
already.
don't know how people do that.
Bloody speedy movie makers. What is he, Woody Allen?
There's a bunch of, auteurs emerging recently in Hollywood. It's very fun to watch. People, sort of... Because I guess it's about the celebrity commodity as well. Like, if one person is successful at one thing, maybe, everyone on average would be as good as they are as the other stuff, but, they wouldn't have their name attached. And I mean, Donald Glover's a good example of this.
Yeah, who's the guy that did Cloverfield?
No. Donald Glover's Troy from Community, if you ever saw that.
Oh, no.
He was also... Yeah, he basically started out as this actor on a comedy TV show, Community, and jumped into rapping under the name Childish Gambino.
Oh, I actually have heard of that.
Yeah, and he's been an actor in a few really major films, including the sadly pretty crap apart from his appearance, Star Wars spin-off Solo, and created developed a TV show, and recently made one of the biggest songs of all time on YouTube called This Is America.
Yes,
which was
yes.
really good. Like really interesting to watch. Lots to talk about there. Not that I would have the background to understand it completely.
Maths and computer science might not be the best background to talk about.
There's a lot of
the social commentary of.
But yeah, like he's an auteur and
It's definitely a good talent.
Yeah.
But there's
He's a great artist in this broad sense.
Yeah, there's this boost that you get in some sense from being good at like three things. You jump into another thing and you'll be like, that's that guy who's really good at those three things.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing
Become his general personality, his general purpose.
Jordan Peele, I think, because he also started off in a comedy thing.
Is this from Kim?
Kim Peele, yeah. Kim Peele. And he was just, like, he was usually the ridiculous slapstick comedy guy, and then he directs absolutely spine-chilling thriller.
Oh, sick.
Get Out was just this terrifying.
Oh, is that guy that directed?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's the one that directed the movie Us.
Yeah. It's all about us. It's quite big. But yeah, it's all
Well, he can do anything.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
You can do anything Get Out for sure. It's maybe about us.
I guess there's something to be said about like intelligence. You define intelligence as the ability to do different things. The more intelligent you are, the more you succeed in different domains.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting metric because that's one metric by which we are more intelligent than AlphaGo. Suck it,
Do
AlphaGo.
different things. Yeah. Oh, Alpha Zero is coming up on that.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I don't know why drinks beer yet. We'll see.
I love that. If we're going back to the Alpha Zero story, it was so AlphaGo was this one. It was focused on Go. It was programmed with the expert games and expert advice on Go. And then they took that, basically the same algorithm, took out the expert advice, upgraded the algorithm a bit, trained it for longer, whatever, made Alpha Zero, which beat AlphaGo 100 to 0 at Go, and then it went and beat Stockfish at chess. It's a totally different game.
Stockfish being sort of culmination of years and years of human input and programming to build a chess engine.
So Alpha Zero is the machine learning. It just don't tell it anything and it just works it out. Stockfish is the complete opposite, as Arthur was saying.
Yeah. Stockfish has been so utterly and completely dominant over human players for the last 10, 15, 20 years that it's basically used to evaluate moves in world championships. If you are watching a world championship between human players and it says, oh, Stockfish wouldn't have made that move, it means it's a bad move. That's how completely dominant Stockfish is over us.
And that's the time
around
and just blows it up.
beat Stockfish without losing one.
And that hadn't been trained on chess since, like for longer than a year.
Yeah. It was
really
insane.
Very.
Especially since Stockfish is like the culmination of everything humans know about chess. Like to get a move added to the Stockfish just kind of looks at a set of moves and says, how good is this position? And should I get into that position? If then kind of thing. And humans add in, they debate on this online community and decide, is this move better than this other move? And if it is, it's added to Stockfish's code, and then Stockfish evaluates 20,000 moves at once and works out how to get to the best position, which is decided by the human heuristic that this large group of human chess experts has debated on and decided on after a long time. And it's been running for 20 years.
Component that is completely machine. Like there also is a part that just tries to see as many moves as it can.
Oh yeah, it works its way down the tree, the min-max kind of tree.
And
And
so the
oftentimes,
better
I'm,
hardware
thinking
comes
20 moves ahead, as Stockfish can on, my MacBook.
Yeah.
Is enough to see the end of the game.
But running on the same hardware, Alpha Zero
Just
destroys
Which
Stockfish.
is really, not even AI better than us at task. They're also better than us at teaching themselves how to do task.
Yeah.
Which is a big thing.
Better at knowing how they're going on the. Very recently, like last week, the OpenAI one was playing Dota 2.
Oh, yeah.
I never played Dota 2 before, but I watched this match. I don't really understand what's happening. And the commentators are saying, oh, it's roughly an even game. And then the the OpenAI bot announces on the chat, we estimate we have a 95% probability of winning. Like 2 minutes later, the commentators were sort of wondering about that and said, we have a 99% probability of winning. And to the human commentator, the experts watching the game, not playing it, just watching, they're like, we can't tell that they're actually ahead. What is this talking about?
Incredible.
And then it won.
Yeah. That's just amazing. I've got to go back and watch that.
Yeah, it was
I want
like
the confusion of humans before the artificial intelligence comes along and does something cool.
Not something I ought to find cool, but I do.
I absolutely do.
I've got my fingers crossed we can combine. Let's go into the superintelligence chat. The future different pathways to superintelligence. My favorite one, the one I'm really hoping will happen, and that I also think is one of the least likely scenarios for superintelligence, is that we manage to increase our own intelligence at the same rate that artificial intelligence gets increased.
In the same vein as that, which I think is basically the same category, is the digitizing of the human brain.
Yeah, that's it.
Is what I would love. And we've seen that in, like we're obviously comparing all this stuff to sci-fi all the time, because, that's how humans work. We look at the stories and we look at how things have happened in stories because we register that as real evidence, even though it's not quite. And there have been stories where humans get digitized and become more intelligent because they have access to more computing power or memory or whatever along those lines. But it would really be something we know absolutely nothing about. Would a human be able to interact with these very, hardware-based resources? Would it be able to access the processing power that's just normally built for computers to do regular calculations? Would a human brain be able to interface with that sort of thing?
I mean, even the neural network it's very difficult to interface a neural network with traditional computation. Like getting a neural network to sum, even if you give it the calculator is difficult. People have done it, but it's a recent thing, and it's quite hard to get a neural network to interface with what computers are traditionally good at. I imagine it would be even harder to get a human brain running on a computer to interface with that sort of thing.
Because the human brain is being a massively more complex neural network with lots of redundant parts that evolution didn't feel like it was worth getting rid of.
Yeah. I had this idea for, I was thinking about how to make neural networks more like a human brain. I was wondering what would happen. From my understanding, I've done like 1 or 2 courses at uni on neuroscience. I don't know much about neuroscience. But from my understanding of it, a lot of learning is done by increasing the strength between connections when those connections fire often. It doesn't use backpropagation in the same way we do with neural networks. So backpropagation is you get the answer, compare it to the answer, and then you work your way from the answer all the way back to your first your input nodes, and you change the weight slightly to make it more likely that you'll say the correct answer next time. That's backpropagation, but the brain doesn't seem to do that really, because it can think on its inside or whatever by itself. But the way learning seems to happen, at least somewhat, and I know which isn't much, but when 2 neurons are firing concurrently, or 1 neuron causes another to fire, it becomes more likely next time to cause it to fire. So I'd quite like to try, and maybe I'll try in the next couple of weeks, is building a neural network where it doesn't use backpropagation, it just takes an input, and every time it gets a particular input, it increases the weight between whatever neurons are firing in the last layer to the next layer. And what I expect to happen there is it would be like a big unsupervised kind of algorithm where, say you give it a bunch of inputs of dogs and cats, whatever is common between dogs is going to be in all the pictures of dogs. So those connections are going to become stronger. And whatever is common between cats is going to be in all the pictures of cats. So those connections are going to be stronger. And whatever is different between the pictures of cats is going to be kind of lost in the thousands of pictures you give it. So it might be able to, without giving you a straight answer, if you just give it a couple of output nodes, might be able to tell the difference between a picture of a dog and a picture of a cat based off what neurons fire in the lower levels, the last layers of the network. I don't know if that will work, but I think it'd be interesting to try. Yeah.
And it is really incredible that we have the capacity to say this kind of thing. We say, I wonder if we can make our computers do this thing.
Yeah.
I might do that when I have some spare time. It's just surreal. That much capacity to try these things out, just to try different things.
Yeah, for sure. Or like the week you spend sort of thinking about something, someone else goes and publishes it, and you just sort of miss it. The pace of stuff is just way too quick.
And yeah, it's really something I would like to get into. That's my plan for post-maths.
Yeah. Doing more computer science stuff.
More computer science and in particular neural networks.
Yeah.
It's just.
I mean, you have a very solid background for that with maths.
Yeah, this is a lot of abstraction maths, and it definitely might be useful. But that's not why we do it.
Yeah,
we do it in maths because it's awesome. Solve problems from 2,500 years ago. That's why we do it. We can now prove unambiguously without error what things you can make with a compass and straight edge. Wish they could.
Is that very offensive? I was very offended by this quote when I first heard it, and then later when I switched out of pure physics and maths in my second year to computer science, I started thinking, oh yeah, it's a very good quote. It was, a field medal is a sign that someone had the intelligence to change the world and didn't.
A Fields Medal for our listeners being the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for mathematics. So the Nobel Prize generally does come with some sort of repercussions. Apart from the Peace Prize, that's just a bit of a joke these days. The Nobel Prize in chemistry has gone to people who've done absolutely incredible things that have changed the future of our world in a really direct sense. And the same for Nobel Prizes in economics and in physics and everything along those lines. But the Fields Medal is we did something on such a ridiculously, unbelievably abstract level that it would take years to explain the consequences of it to someone who didn't already know.
Oh, and it's absolutely fascinating what the theorems are and what the modern maths is. It's just not very useful.
I mean, that is a complex area. So, for example, my boyfriend's dad is a maths professor at Macquarie Uni. And 20 years ago, he was doing quite a bit of work on a concept called monads, which is interestingly a mathematical structure that shares the name with a philosophical idea held by Leibniz, also a mathematician, as being the underlying structure of the world. Everything was made of monads being sort of ideal forms of things. And now it's interestingly in mathematical structure. And so monads at this point were basically completely useless. They were, in the same sense as a lot of abstract maths is, an extremely complex structure, which behaves in certain ways. And basically we poke it and it behaves in interesting different ways. And my boyfriend's dad was teaching this to various different people. And one of the people he taught this to wound up using this structure and similar related concepts and much of this mathematical background to create the programming language Haskell.
Oh,
yeah.
Haskell.
Which is a really...
Haskell is super old.
Yeah.
How old is your boyfriend's dad?
He's like 60.
Yeah, right. Well, Haskell came out in like the 70s, I think?
I don't think... I might Google that. But this is
a derivation of it, maybe?
But
it's a very useful
I think it
programming
was
language.
actually Haskell. I think the guy who made Haskell was actually a student of my boyfriend's dad.
That's
Which
great.
is just a urban legend kind of material.
Yeah. It's a very commonly used functional programming language.
Yeah. So this is basically an example of the kind of abstraction of that maths kind of results in. It's structures that behave incredibly interestingly and represent lots of information and do complex things. And basically, eventually, it often winds up being really useful post-fact.
That's true.
We wind up realizing that it does something really incredible. So it was made in 1990, 29 years ago.
Oh, really? I must have been thinking of Lisp.
Yes, I think it was a bit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haskell is functional programming language.
That's really sick.
Which is basically completely incomprehensible to anyone who has learned functional programming.
It was very hard because
So normal programming is generally called
object-oriented.
Object-oriented.
Well, what we consider normal, there's two competing sort of sides, but most programs are written object-oriented.
Normal programming is basically like give Like you can imagine a person doing it really easily. You can give it to a person and say, all right, here's a list of what I want you to do in order, and you'll move around on this list according to other things. Like you'll say, all right, add 3 to this number, and if it's bigger than this other number, add 3 more. And you give that to the person can step through it step by step by step by step. And Haskell is basically, it is not that. It is something else. It's quite difficult to describe what in fact it is.
It's kind of like, from what I remember, I wasn't very good at it. It's like nested functions. So normal language will have, this is the object X, and X has these attributes you can use however you like.
Like
X
a
has,
person having a social security number, etc.
yeah, like I give X, you define X as having a height, a width, and whatever. You define it as having functions that sort of give you a response. You say, what is the area of X, and then it'll just tell you the area. But you can pass around X all to these different places. Functional languages, when I understand, wasn't very good at them, don't have these objects that you pass around. It's just kind of a nested loop of functions all the way down. And so anyone that works in functional languages will tell me what an idiot I am for saying it like that. But it's like, so you start the program with this function, and then inside that function is another function, and inside that is another function, and at the very base it just has like a number. And then does computation on that number, and then passes it back up to the last function, which passes it all the way back up, and so on. But it's much more complicated to understand because it doesn't have units that are very simple to get in your head.
And in some sense, that's why it was invented much later, why functional programming became a sort of computing paradigm much later than object-oriented programming. But in an important sense, it's not really harder for computers to do stuff like this. In fact, for some problems, it's much easier. It's just a bit harder for humans to understand, at least most humans. And that's an interesting example of the way that human minds are well suited to some tasks, but not so well suited to others. And it's also, just taking a few steps back in the conversation, that's a really good illustration of abstract maths winding up being incredibly important. Later on,
I get you.
We didn't know what was going to be important because these monads were, discovered by Leibniz.
Yeah.
By these sort
It's
of
got
figures
old
like
work,
Thiele
isn't it?
or whatever.
Yeah. So what's the period of time between discovering something and it being useful?
It's
a long time.
It's often it can be much shorter. In particular, I think recently quantum mechanics has done a lot of leaps and bounds with some really complex mathematics. That is relatively recent, I think.
Well, I mean, quantum mechanics has been known since what, the 1910s, 1920s?
We've been making advances.
It started becoming useful 100 years after that, 90 years after that.
Yeah,
So relativity was 1905, started becoming useful with satellites in 1960.
Yeah,
55
it's
years.
interesting to think that Einstein was incredibly visionary. He did see the structure of the universe before anybody else really did in this particular way. But when we started sending up satellites, and without Einstein we still would have, we would have noticed the discrepancies. And it would have been inevitable that someone would have looked at this and then tried to figure out how to reconcile that with the rest of our data, and would have come up with a theory of relativity. And it makes you wonder about how much of society's intellectual progress is inevitable, and how much really is coincidence. Could you imagine an alternate universe where we didn't know how to do, I don't know.
You're kind of saying he was a genius because he was able to figure it out with such a small amount of information.
Yeah,
And then later he had so much more information, so someone less smart than him would have been able to figure it out.
would have got there anyway.
This is a sort of Feynman quote. I remember him saying, he quoted in like the 40s, he sort of predicted that there was going to be far fewer theories and things coming out of physics in the coming 40 years or so, because they required larger and larger and apparatus to actually get experimental results. But it went the opposite way, because people can speculate a lot better from less information. So you'll come up with 50 theories off one point of data, but only say 5 that fit if you have 10 pieces of data.
Yeah, fascinating. So we'll come up with less theories, but if we come up with a theory, you'd be pretty damn sure it's going to work.
If you have more data and you're like, oh yes, this works.
Fascinating stuff.
I was thinking about like, what if those mathematicians were all engineers, and then by the time they ran into the problem, because how often does an engineer or physicist or someone outside of the field reinvent mathematics that was discovered in pure maths decades
I have a
before?
really good answer for this, actually.
Yeah.
So the medical field is a very distinct one from nearly every other field. It has obviously some connections to biological research, quite strong connections, and you'll often find researchers
And
solving
to
those
hair cutting and all sorts of things.
But often, I think it's a cultural thing with respect to researchers not being taken too seriously unless they have a medical degree, which is a big investment to get. And so you'll see medical research being its sort of own insular field more than you will see that for other fields, is my personal analysis, although you may disagree. And the most extreme case of this that I've ever seen was when a doctor ran into the problem of having a graph that charted how much drug a patient was being given per time on a graph. So they had a graph of this, saying, oh, this patient's being given like 3 milligrams now, or 2 milligrams now, or 10 milligrams now. And they had this graph, going up and down. And they were interested in figuring out how much total of the drug they'd been given over quite a few number of hours.
Okay. And it's sort of dripping in from slowly, so you can't just sum up the...
Well, it's a graph on the page of the drug rate over time. And basically this mathematical paper, this medical paper suggested that, perhaps we could approximate the graph as a series of trapezoids. And if you're listening to this and you've done high school mathematical education, you'll remember this is the trapezoidal rule. And this paper received 80 citations in the medical community.
Oh, because I hadn't read any mathematical literature.
Because in the medical community, there's a really different kind of emphasis on basically learning some meaningful sense. In the medical community, changing something requires a degree of evidence. In the mathematical community, if someone shows you that a structure can be explained more simply and more elegantly in a certain way, everyone will be like, bam, let's switch. But in the medical community, unless you can really rigorously prove that you are killing people by not having it this way, people tend to stay the same. Because there's huge status quo bias. This doesn't kill people,
there's also
so
a
why would
risk,
we switch?
If you change and you kill someone, that's
on you.
Yeah. Whereas if you change an equation, it doesn't really matter. In maths.
Yeah, may well break giant bridges or whatever. That's a
that's different. People don't try to make up, they don't change the gravitational constant.
No, there are some sorry. But basically the moral of that story, and the way I see it at least, is that the medical community could do well with being more willing to adapt information from outside of its field and do work with other parts of it, basically. I think one of the biggest issues I think in modern academia in the Western world, as I understand it, is that people are basically just drawn to fields by preference.
That's definitely true.
Well, the other factor in some sense is how cool is the stuff that I am doing? And different people have different affinities to different things. They'll think maths is really cool, they'll think, cutting people's livers open is really cool, or they'll think building algorithms that can do incredible work are really cool. You can see my own bias right there. But prestige is a really hugely influential factor. And in particular, you'll note that the competition to become a mathematical researcher is far more fierce than, for example, an educational researcher. Or indeed on a sort of lesser scale, an economics researcher.
And even though those last two would probably have a bigger and more immediate impact.
And in particular,
the reason they would have a bigger impact is because there's way more low-hanging fruit. There's way more easy stuff that hasn't been done in those fields. Because these are fields meddling people who are just ridiculously intelligent, who are just unwilling to go through problems that they think are, beneath their pay grade, so to speak. And I was talking about that to my partner, who's just smashing through pure maths honours right now, and doing better than I've seen anyone else do it before. And I was just saying, hey, would you consider going to other research? He's like, but that's not as hard, that's not as fun, that's not as fun as hard. And
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
When I was in high school, the reason I chose to go into physics and maths was my initial kind of thing. Partially it was because I really loved Richard Feynman. He was in physics.
He's a very cool guy.
And partially because I was like, oh, I want to be the smart people, and smart people do physics and maths. And they were all smarter than me. I was very upset by that.
It's funny how that goes, yeah. I think
having an impact.
Something to think about for a lot of people going into these fields. Yeah, Sophia, who's the reason why we met, actually, is thinking of going into... She's done...
She was a mathematics
major, and she's thinking of taking that idea and those concepts and that level of basic intellect, which is just pretty good, and using that to go into economics with this sort of mathematical background. And I expect really big things from that. I expect really big things from her, particularly because
that's not common.
Very,
It's
very
not common
common
for people to do maths and then actually have some pragmatism.
Surprisingly uncommon. And so that's my advice to people listening, I guess, is to
If you're doing a mathematics degree,
well, finish the degree, absolutely, but then really think about what you want to do and why. And if your reasoning is, I want to do maths because it's cool and hard, go for it, please. But if you really want to change the world, as I think I do, and as I think I will try to do by choosing where I go after this, think about where the low-hanging fruit is.
you can sort of play the games as I did when I decided when I changed my field a couple of years ago, which is just sort of what do you want? You want to do it now, Arthur? It's a bit of a tricky game. It's very, very intense. But like, we asked, say, what do you want? Like, as deep as you can go.
I want to make the world a better place without compromising my own personal safety and enjoyment of life.
Can you go any deeper than that? Like, what is a better place? Can you work that out?
I want to make the world more the way I want it to be. I was having
an
interesting, this is a small side idea.
Yeah.
I was having an interesting conversation the other day about what selfish means. And because someone called me selfish for wanting to wash the dishes because I didn't want to feel guilty for not wanting to do dishes. Because the world that I want to live in is, the one where I selfishly act. But in some broader sense, the world that I really want to live in is the one where everyone's maximally happy. And interesting
That's as deep as you can get.
I mean, yeah. The world where I want everyone to be maximally happy, basically. But yeah, the broader sort of example that I've encountered recently is, I don't know if you've been in this scenario, but if you have a partner and your parents meet their parents, shit gets weird. She can get really weird. I mean, maybe it's my scenario, but I've had this happen twice. And both times...
At the same time.
No, that would be really weird. That would be very strange. It's a separate interaction of my parents meeting my partner at the time parents. And there's this really strong inclination for parents to demonstrate their generosity. They want to say, oh, let me do everything. This is my sample sizes here. It is small. And I've seen my parents bodily wrestle my partner's parents to prevent them from getting the bill. And it's ridiculous. And this is a really interesting example of that sort of selfishness, quote unquote.
Yeah.
You can see people want to be generous. But the real test for whether or not the world can have most people being generous in it is, are people willing to be generous? And are they people willing to receive generosity? And I was aware this was going to be a thing ahead of time before the most recent one where my boyfriend's parents met my parents.
Yeah.
And I talked to them both, and I was like, it's really important that you're both willing to receive. You're all willing to receive as well as give. And even so, after the night, my mum was like, oh, that wasn't a really nice night, next time we should have that, put it our way. So that we can, And I was like, geez, man, you gotta take a step back.
That's kind of sweet.
It was really sweet. It's really sweet seeing your parents, want to give, seeing people want to give. Giving needs receivers. It's a big world, but there's places for everyone.
It's a story about where there's two pieces of cake and one of them is bigger than the other. First person grabs the bigger piece. And the other person says, if I grabbed first, I would have grabbed the smaller one. And the person says, well, you've got it now, so what are you complaining about?
Oh, yeah. I grew up in a family very much along those lines. Everyone trying to second guess. Because communication really just people behind stick layers.
I can't imagine that.
Because it's stoic. The stoic dad figure is a bit of a cliche or a trope or whatever. People see it in media. But the stoic dad is like, oh, yeah, whatever you want, it's fine. My dad's a bit like that.
Yeah, right.
And if you think he probably wants this fun, you can try and second guess and say, oh, I think otherwise. And since I've grown up, not in the sense that I've come of age, but in the sense that I've really grown up, I've realized that is really inefficient. It's very inefficient, and I just try to be as clear as I can. And I'll let the other people be as clear as they want to be.
I have to say, I don't think I relate to that experience very much.
Yeah? I mean, definitely everyone's got a unique growing up. Yeah. But that was mine. My learning experience was learning to communicate clearly and not second guess. I've got much better at that.
That's good. That's really good.
I was shit at that for a long time.
I think we were always very fighting over getting stuff. Sort of the more sort of
different things
Rue
come out of
family
that.
kind of thing.
Different initial patterns, different things you got to learn later, I guess.
Well, you just put each other down so no one gets a big head.
It all works out in the end. There's always counterbalancing forces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a card because I graduated the other day from uni. And the card my family gave me was very funny. It had my sister wrote a little thing on it, and it said, "Hey, congratulations on graduating. I don't know what you're actually graduating with. I asked Mum, she didn't know either, but good job anyway." My brother was saying something about writing about something about you teach me about human rights. Like, that's not what I do. He was taking the piss and trying to make it sound bigger than it was. They put a sticker on it from when I was a kid, and we got this photo taken, and the label from the photo was over my face. Yeah, that's the sort of experience I had. No one was fighting for the check there.
Yeah, this all comes back to you. That's all we were really. We were all allowed to taking in data or pushing out data. I heard a really fantastic theory of the human brain the other day that explained a lot of my own idiosyncrasies and those of people I see around me. And it was again on this blog, Codex, which is the blog of psychiatry.
Yeah, I love
Wonderful blog.
It's the least culty cult I've ever joined.
But yeah, basically this article discussed the brain as a predictive machine. The brain is a machine that is really trying as hard as it can to predict accurately. And
to predict the future, yeah.
And that really spoke to me on this strange level, because the things that make me feel uncomfortable, I think maybe not everyone relates to this, but this is definitely what I relate to. I feel uncomfortable when I don't quite know exactly how things are going to happen. When I'm standing around a group of people and we can't really, and it's not really, and we're trying to make a plan, and no one's really being assertive enough. I feel really uncomfortable. I really don't like that scenario.
Yeah, that's a very common experience.
And when I'm in a class just ahead of my level, I can't quite see where it's going next. And every single thing the lecturer says is sort of unexpected, unpredictable. I feel really uncomfortable. And when I'm in a conversation with like 10 people at once, this is definitely something I think is a little bit me being a bit of a weirdo. Yeah. But in a conversation with a lot of people,
It's perfectly normal for a mathematician. Don't worry.
in a conversation with a lot of people, I feel a lot less comfortable than I do one-on-one. Because
there's more variables.
Yeah, exactly. There's more complexity. Things can go in more surprising directions.
Yeah.
And the thing that sort of final nail in the coffin insofar as being persuaded by this theory was that this theory said, healthiness on a mental level is being confident in your predictions, being confident that you will be able to predict things around you. And then I was thinking as I was reading this, but hang on, wouldn't this theory suggest that the best way to optimize for really predicting everything would be to lie in your room with the lights out? And then this article went on and said, and indeed, that's exactly what happens. When you're not healthy, when your brain is unable to predict its environment properly, it really needs to get back to that state where it feels confident, and you get depressed. And you stay in your room, and you don't do anything, and there's no external stimulus, and you feel safe. You feel calm, you feel safe. And I've definitely had my own depression and anxiety, things like that, and that's definitely been the direction I've gone. So that was definitely something that explained that sort of notion of what human brains do, what they operate on, really makes them tick.
There's definitely something to be said for that hypothesis. You could probably most like I think it would make sense if you try to say you want to be where you can predict things and then voluntarily choose just slightly push it ahead a little bit so you can learn, you know?
And that's the optimal place to become better human beings.
It's where good music and movies set. Music is great because you can predict where it's going to go. But you don't want it to be too predictable because then it's boring. You want to be just at a level where you can kind of predict the next note. It's great when you feel like you're predicting the next note. As long as when you feel like you're predicting the next note, you feel like you're clever, you feel like you're learning something. If the next note is always bam, 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 you're like, that's not pushing me. But if the next note is da-da-da-da-da, then you're like, ooh, that's like a nice level of complexity. You predict it, you feel good. And then if you have a very musical, like if you ever listen to avant-garde jazz, oh man, I can't predict those notes at all.
And that's exactly why it's weird. feels really strange because we're not on that level where we can predict it. But when we are, maybe one day, maybe that shit will be the most satisfying thing to listen to ever.
I saw a band, like an avant-garde jazz band, playing here at Stucco, actually. And I knew one of my mates is studying jazz at university, so he knows a lot about it. And there was a whole audience there, and this band was playing this crazy music, and no one got it. Everyone was just sitting there, just still kind of waiting for it to be over. And then the one person I knew that loved, like, it was just sort of clicking. He was nuts. He was with it, you know. He was doing the dancing. I was like, managing to predict this.
That's just unreal. Because it is that kind of puzzle.
Yeah.
And when that puzzle is tangible, when you can touch that puzzle, when you can really get it, then my God, that shit is so satisfying. But yeah, I was taking a little bit of a step back. We're all neural networks. Brains are all neural networks. That's where the term comes from. We're networks of neurons. And the patterns that we have are really often, really directly traceable back to our own experiences at different points in our life.
That's true.
It's really,
I wonder how much is optimized during our life and how much is optimized because of evolution.
It's quite fun to see those little moments where evolution does optimize things. Like, I remember I have this vivid memory of in year 9, I moved to a different high school. And I was just like oblivious kid, you know.
Yeah.
This is probably, you know, all filling out the cliche for you after you got told I was mathematics. But I was completely oblivious.
Yeah.
And for this brief time, I was very popular because I was a new kid. I was completely oblivious.
And people were talking to you.
That's great. I took them all on this climbing trip because I really like climbing. I was really into it. And you know, obviously that sticks out as you know, something we have really evolved to do in some sense. And we were climbing this tree, and I was like, oh, come balance along this branch with me. And they were like, oh, I can't do that. And I said, yeah, no, your body knows how. And they said, I think your body knows how. And it was interesting because that was kind of on the verge. It was a blend of things that, you know, have evolved to do, but you also need to practice.
It's the kind of thing you'd hear in a movie with some like Native
coming
Americans
of
trying
age
to
stuff, yeah.
say to this kid that's just trying to learn, your body knows how.
I mean, it is, yeah. I was
it doesn't make sense. Because you're a monkey.
Absolutely.
You do know trees.
You're missing a tail. Apart from that, you know pretty well. Like, it is really interesting, though. I think, as I think many other people as well, synthesized a lot of my ability to communicate from story, right?
Yeah.
Because like, you know, we have lots of exposure to people in life, but especially in primary school. I just spent a lot of time like reading stuff.
Yeah.
Just like 24/7. And I think a lot of my prediction basically of how other people would act from those kinds of scenarios as opposed to from social interactions at that particular age. In high school, I hear a lot less weird as you're hearing. I mean, it was weird.
Oh, yeah, no, I totally get what you mean.
Not weird by myself.
Quite at a level, level where people can predict your wit.
Yeah, but that was basically what I was trying to do. I was grabbing that cliche. I was thinking, because I knew that was a cliche, and so I thought that's how people work. But you know, my friends will tell me I was an idiot.
Yeah,
but you need someone like that.
You
need someone to tell you you're an idiot when you're being an idiot. That's very helpful. Very helpful.
Say about being weird socially. Because like when you're sort of 13 or whatever, you kind of become self-aware and you're like, oh yeah, I'm being a bit weird in these situations.
Yeah.
Your first thought might be, oh, I want to be normal. Or it might be, no, being weird is good. Because you see all this media, it's like telling people to be a bit weird.
Yeah. That's new. That's something that's been around forever.
But there is something to be like you want people to be able to predict what you're going to say and do a little bit so that they don't get scared.
Yeah.
Because especially like we're like fairly large.
You want to be a puzzle.
Yeah. You want to be a puzzle that's solvable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, especially if you like if you look kind of intimidating. If you
one of the notions Sophia told me about
that just the right level of
as soon as she said the words, they just entered my consciousness as part of how the universe works. And I don't know if you've heard the term weirdness points.
Yeah, no, I'm totally talking about Sophia. This is where we're getting the conversation.
Yeah, this is just it's for our listeners who haven't heard of it. Weirdness points, so you know, the extent to which you are weird in certain ways. And when people meet you, if you have no weirdness points, that's a bit boring.
You're bland.
You're just a regular type dude, you know, accounting job, no offense to accountants listening.
You're in the exciting career of chartered accountant.
But you know, no hobbies on the side or whatever. And yet some weirdness points you can be good friend. But you get too many weirdness points, and people find that strange.
Yeah, too many weirdness points. Like that guy on the train that you can't quite like get away, or he's just looking at you, you can't like quite tell why he's looking at you.
Yeah.
And he might just be curious. He might just be like, oh yeah, that's a human. I don't know.
And in that brain prediction,
it's totally nuts.
This puzzle is just out of reach. It's just too many witness points, so you can't quite see where they're going next. It's not just a puzzle to predict. It's an unsolvable puzzle.
Come
Come back to what we were saying.
being
Being
not being able to predict where something's going next makes you uncomfortable.
It does.
Doesn't matter what it is.
And that's how you feel when you meet someone who's got too many witness points. If you meet someone who says, "Hey, I'm from this group that really wants to radically, change the world by, ethical consumption of corn," you might think, "Oh, that's really cool." And if they look like a, an average person, that'll be really cool. But if they come up to you and they have a lightning bolt shaved into their head,
And they just sort of grab it. Ethical consumption of corn is really important.
Too many witness points.
Same point. Same, making the same statement.
When I say those things, man, that person is weird. I would sort of, back away a bit. Maybe you're a better person than I am.
No, I know exactly what you mean.
But yeah, witness points is very important to limit that. Yeah, going through high school, you want to optimize for that. You remember those kids who didn't quite get it right. Why
Sad when people cry and they don't.
It's a little bit over the edge. Yeah. I think everyone went through that random phase. I'm not sure if that was everyone.
I did. I know a lot of my friends did.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to push the boundaries and work out where the edge of social acceptance is.
Exactly.
There's many different dimensions to it. There's how you, what your tone of voice is, the facial expressions you make, where you look, what clothes you wear, and what things you say, how your hair's cut. It's
everything that makes you human being.
And
all of these things. This comes back to how human beings evolve. Human beings. I mentioned this to Reuben while you were away. Human beings evolve primarily because human beings got a bit smart, and then they formed these social groups. And then the complexity of these social groups gave a huge advantage to those who predict how the social groups will interact.
And
this is a runaway process.
For sexual attention with intelligence, it gives you runaway.
Yes, because everyone's competing with everyone else, and boom, suddenly you're more intelligent. If you're ahead of the pack, you get a huge boost from that. And that just is basically what we're doing through high school. Post high school, we usually have found our niches, who we are, where we want to be, in some meaningful sense in terms of who we are. But in that high school, early young adult stage, we're really figuring out some social network in some meaningful sense. We're trying to figure out how weird should I be, who should I be, how I interact with these other people.
It's not a fun stage to go through.
Depends what frame of mind you go through with.
I guess so.
I definitely had some really fun bits.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, the memories of being really oblivious while something happens are just crushingly hilarious post-fact, as long as the consequences weren't too dire.
Yeah.
That's a good one. It's a real idiot.
Yes.
Good times. So to speak.
I'm still learning how to, like, I've just started learning how to wear clothes in a way that's sort of not too often.
Have you read
bought these clothes recently? This cost $10, shoes cost $3, but they're like nice.
Excellent calibration.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty low
I
caliber.
wore $3 exclusively for 2 years.
Yeah, no, they're great. Like, even going through 8 pairs, 2 years,
It's still pretty
8 times 3 is what, 24.
Yeah, these are like $100 shoes going for about a year and they go the whole.
Oh no.
Bit of a rip.
Nice shoes, not like shoes that have a duck on them or something. You might be like, I like ducks, I'm gonna wear duck shoes. You have to choose where you're gonna spend those shoes. If you want to spend your witness points on duck shoes, you have to have like a solid haircut, you have to speak nicely and not yell at people or be intimidating in that way. You have to be good at judging when people want to talk to you. It's very tricky. Or maybe people just get it. Maybe it's just like from our field trying to overthink it and be like, oh.
I think people like that. I've got a few really good friends who I think overthink it to different degrees. And I've definitely overthink to some extent. I noticed recently via doing specific online tests. So I don't know if you listener have encountered this test before, but it's a test online that you can do for basically your sort of emotional intelligence doing air finger quotes just for you can't see. What it is, it shows you this sequence of eye snapshots. Eyes. Of other people's eyes. And you have to say what emotion they're experiencing. And it's really fascinating because really high scores indicate high emotional intelligence, quote unquote, which is correlated with outcomes in other areas. And really low results on that indicate can be used as part of a diagnostic test for Asperger's or other similar things. Autism, yeah. And I've since you know, figuring out my high school stuff, I found myself enjoying people and really doing that a lot. And I scored dog shit on the test. Like 20%. And my boyfriend and Sophia got like 10 or
5%
5%
or something like that. They blew out
Bloody hell, I hate
it
it when genius mathematicians are also social.
Well, it was really interesting because I would say I'm much more social than my partner.
Yeah.
In that
Yeah,
sense,
yeah.
much more outgoing in funny conversations.
But the
The
thing
thing
is,
is,
I
I
don't
don't
look people's
look
eyes very often.
very
You
often.
might be
You might be
noticing now that I actually am looking at your eyes.
I know.
Because I
Because I
usually
usually
don't
don't
do
do
that.
that.
Because all
all
of my kind of
communication
communication
patterns
are
are
based off the voice.
Yeah, sure. So if there was a similar test but I was using voice sense,
I
do you
think
reckon
that
you'd do
might be
better?
better.
But I
But I
think
think
society on average would do a fair bit worse on those ones because they spend a lot of emotional intelligence points, so to speak, on concentrating on the eyes.
I guess so.
And that's really fascinating,
basically,
because I
because
think I was bad at this at a young age, and I think I figured out what kind of reaction to get. And I guess this is why I feel uncomfortable in group conversations more as well, because there's so many signals everywhere.
Yeah. You could have one.
Um,
Have to have some heuristic, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's just another sort of like interesting sort of dimension on which I think I am a bit of a thinker, and I have some friends who overthink on more complex levels. I don't do
I wonder if you surveyed people, how many people would say, I reckon more than 50% of people would say that they overthink social interactions.
Yeah,
And they'd be
I
right.
reckon it'd be something like 75% of people would say that they everyone would say they're concerned about social interactions, but people would say overthink. I reckon that's a large number.
I would agree with that.
Like people who feel really genuinely comfortable in arbitrary social interactions, I think are very, very rare.
Yeah, those are very impressive marketing people.
Absolutely.
Sales people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have some friends.
So,
So the voice cue thing, I think, is still intuitive on a deeper level for me.
Yeah.
It's not something I actively do. But I have friends for whom they overthink on a kind of less abstracted level. They think about things based on assuming people are being genuine in the words that they say.
And that's
When they might not be.
wrong.
They're just wrong.
They're
They're
not even like
in
in
some
some
rare
rare
scenarios
scenarios
where
where
we
we
want
want
to
to
deceive
deceive
you.
you. People just don't say what they mean.
That's
That's
not
just
how
not
people
how
roll.
people
Oh,
roll.
you mean like the thing where people say, how are you? They don't actually want to know how I am.
Yeah.
They just want you to say,
All of
good,
these
how are
things
you?
are social signals
Yeah.
designed to convey some kind of idea, like I care vaguely about you, or I'm being professional in circumstances.
It's to prove that you're a predictable person when you first meet someone.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? That's my predictable thing to say, and then your predictable response is, okay, how are you? Well, I'm good. How are you?
Exactly.
And then you both know that you know how to interact. It's a little trick. It's a trick question that we do at the start of every interaction so that the other person
Can you
Can you navigate this? Can you navigate this? Yeah.
And
And there was an extreme example of this I've encountered,
which I think a lot of people probably have experienced this kind of scenario. But this was a friend who had sort of been interested in the girl that he was seeing, and he'd said, hey, do you want to hang out sometime? She said, oh, I'm fairly busy right now, maybe a bit later. And I looked at that thing and I was like, oh yeah, she's not that.
Yeah, does that mean
she's not really that
no,
interested.
or does it mean
Because she said this like 3 times.
Yeah.
She's
She's
probably,
just saying that because you feel uncomfortable saying she's not interested.
And he was
like, but
why
why wouldn't she just say that?
Yeah.
And I was like, because people don't say that.
People
People
don't
don't
talk
talk
like
like
that.
that.
People
People
don't
don't
communicate
communicate
by
by saying what they mean.
You
You need to learn to read between the lines.
Yeah,
Because
it's sometimes dangerous to say things outright. One, because you might be socially outside.
Yeah.
Two, because if you're, you could be like literally in danger if you outright
Realistically,
reject
our
someone. So
society
it's just
is pretty
heuristic
dangerous
that
in
they
those
automatically
scenarios.
reject, automatically default to.
Yeah. And yeah.
Or people want to be polite, they don't want to be rude, they've been taught that this thing is rude.
Yeah.
Like by deliberate learning.
Yeah, and that's a pretty complex scenario. Again, this comes back to humans having evolved specifically with this purpose. Like, this kind of level of abstraction, can you imagine trying to get a computer to optimize for that? Like, we can barely get a computer to count in the same way. We can get it to demolish chess games, to demolish us, any kind of abstract strategy game. But this kind of nuance, not saying it's necessarily useful outside of the context of communication, but it is definitely complex.
You could do it if you had a large enough set of samples. That's the main thing holding us back from doing specific tasks like this, is that you don't have enough labelled examples of this is acceptable behaviour, this isn't, to cover such a broad field. Like you could do it with pictures of happy sad. As long as a human could label it happy sad, a computer would be able to learn happy sad. But with the breadth of social interactions, especially since humans don't necessarily understand at the level where they can label it. A human might understand, well, that person's being a bit funny, but they might not be able to label, this is exactly where they went wrong, so the computer can learn.
And that would be because people have been doing this sort of their own generative adversarial network of this generations of society.
If you acted weird, you'd have fewer kids.
Absolutely,
yeah.
It's
It's
bizarre.
bizarre.
Thinking of
Thinking
the
of
way
the
the
way
human
the
race
human
has
race
changed history is also something else that sort of I find
absolutely
fascinating.
fascinating.
Over
recorded history or
Over
Evolutionary history.
Like
Yeah.
imagine
Like
how
imagine
it would be if, a human from now went back, even, like, 1,000 years would be like, on average, taller and more attractive and better nourished than our
Definitely
historical
would have had a much
patriots.
better childhood.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
So it would be much more well adjusted to deal with arbitrary problem, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But going back longer
longer
than that, and we'd have
really complex
advantages in
social
social communication,
communication,
which is
which is
just
just
fascinating.
I guess.
I wonder
I wonder how far
back
back you have to go before your advantages today outweigh the advantages from growing up in that time.
Because I
Because I reckon if you went back 1,000 years,
being living in this world today would actually pay very poorly for the culture of 1,000 years ago, no matter where you went. So you would be at a social disadvantage coming in as an adult.
But if
But if you went back 50,000 years,
maybe
you would have a bit of an
I
advantage.
think
I think it
There's
depends.
definitely
There's
a lot of
historical
context and
context
lumping
and
them into one service. But
But
like being a aristocratic family versus an independent family is obviously going to be a completely different experience. A notable point that I was thinking about recently is that adults would define very differently in different groups. Adults would typically reach at like 12, 13, 14 independent families because simply that was when you could do a relatively adult amount of work. And people really genuinely started having kids.
like
As soon as you hit
As soon as
puberty.
you hit puberty,
And
and
that's just surreal
thinking about it now from a modern perspective.
Like compared to today, it's different. Although I'm not sure compared to peasants in the past versus noble people in the past.
because
Because if you're a kid in a noble family, you're going to war at 8 or 9 and being a page boy and
Yeah.
running the messages and whatever. Like you're pushed into adulthood very early as well.
Yeah.
Like
Compared to when we are today.
We are
We are
so lucky to live right
now.
now. We are so
We are so lucky.
so
So
unbelievably
unbelievably
lucky.
lucky.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a natural end to the conversation. We've gone. This is, I think, one of the longest podcasts we've done. This is an hour and 46 minutes.
See if like
Which,
Reuben's computer all yellow.
Oh. And when I speed it up slightly, I usually speed them up by 25%. So this will be, what, an hour and 20 minutes or so?
Well,
Now do that in your head. What's 1/4 of 1 hour and 46
Your
minutes?
estimate.
You got to convert to base 60 and then...
I am
okay
okay
at
at mathematics, but
terrible
terrible
at
at
arithmetic.
arithmetic.
We're going to do like a 5-minute story where he beats the guy with the... Yeah, that story where the Japanese guy comes in with an abacus.
Yeah.
Um,
5 minutes another time.
He is
It is very cool. And I will hopefully contribute
Beautiful.
something to say.
All right, well, this was coming up on Coming Up. And coming up next week, we haven't decided on a topic yet. So we'll see you in 2 weeks' time, I guess. See you then.
Bye now.
Bye now.